Kevin, are we going for an additional tax cut, I understand? He's the king of those tax cuts, yeah. We're going to do a phase two. I'm hearing that. You hear that, John and Ted? Phase two. We're actually very serious about that, Kevin, so it's good. But Kevin Brady is a spectacular person and did a really incredible job with the tax cuts.
And so did our next guest. President Trump hinting that a phase two tax cut could be on the way. Here now is Representative Diane Black, who sits on the House Ways and Means Committee. That's a committee that actually writes these tax bills. What would a phase two look like, Representative?
Well, I haven't spoken to the president personally about it, but I can tell you this, that we are very excited about what's happening with what we've done up to this point in time. It's always a room to look back. I can tell you it's not going to be 31 years before we look back and say maybe we need to do a little bit more. We are always listening to see what is working and what may need to be just touched a little bit more. And so we'll wait and see what the president and what our chairman has in mind.
Well, let me throw something out there and see if it works for you, which is a lot of people were complaining that the tax cut, is as wonderful as it's been in terms of the effects on the economy, didn't do enough on the individual side. The top individual rate didn't come down enough to really invigorate entrepreneurship on a broad level as some of the Reagan tax cuts did. And maybe that's what the president is talking about in phase two. Does that sound right to you?
Well, as you know, we had a lot of discussion about that. We spent a lot of time talking about where we could go with that top tax rate. And we understand that folks that are at the top tax rate obviously have the money to invest and have the economy grow. And so this is an area that I think will continue to have discussion.
Now, who would be better to help the president implement something like this than Larry Kudlow? I just throw this out there. I mean, his name, the president mentioned him specifically this morning as a replacement for Gary Cohn, the chief economic advisor to the president. Do you think, I know it's not your decision, but do you think Larry would be a good person to put through a phase two of a tax cut?
Well, I know Larry well, and I've had an awful lot of time to be able to sit down around the table and talk to him about his experience as an economist. He is a brilliant man. I think he would be a perfect pick. I don't know whether Larry will accept that or even entertain it, but I can tell you he and Art Laffer are two of my best friends, and they do a great job. I turn to them and ask them for their personal opinion as I'm making decisions, both here at the federal level and also at the state level.
And if you win at the governorship, you may be dealing a lot with Art Laffer, because I know he lives down in Tennessee, right?
Well, Art is he is my advisor on economic policies right now. I did draft him for that, and I just very, very much appreciate the kind of intelligence that they bring, the history they bring. Yeah. They have a lot of great experience with economy.
Representative, I got to ask you something that's a little out of your bailiwick. The Secretary of State, of course, is stepping down. Rex Tillerson is going to be replaced by Mike Pompeo, who I guess you worked with when he was in Congress. What do you think about all this? There was distance between the president and Rex Tillerson on a couple of issues like the Iran deal, like climate change, et cetera. Was it a good move, and what do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to say that Mike Pompeo, who was a classmate of mine in 2010, is a very bright man, and he will do an excellent job as he has at the CIA. We all know that when a president has his administration be brought together, that those who work for him must think the way he does and follow through on his policies. This is not unusual, as has happened in previous administrations, where you come in with one person and as time goes on, you find that maybe you're moving into a different area, a different segment, where you may not agree completely. And there has to be synergy between that individual and the president. And so I don't think that we should make too much of this. We want to thank Rex Tillerson for what he has done. He's done a good job, but we're moving into a new phase where I think the president is looking for someone that maybe is more in line with him on his next phase.
Representative Diane Black, say hi to Art for us. Appreciate it.
I will do that.
Thanks very much.